Do you use a sketchbook or journal to capture some of your ideas and practice your paintings? I use this mixed media journal by Strathmore, and I'll put a link to it down in the description. I really like this journal. It serves my purpose really well as far as being able to put lots of paint and layers on the pages and not having them buckle up. If we haven't met before, I'm Pat from Scrivener Art and Design in Parksville, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. I love sharing my knowledge and teaching you along your path. I also want to thank everyone for your support on Buy Me a Coffee. It really helps me keep this channel going. It takes a lot of work to do these videos, and I hope that you're enjoying them and that they're giving you value. So thanks so much, and let's get on and see what I do in the sketchbook today. So I'm going to find some figures in this page. I had a 2-page spread here, and I already did this one as a demo the other night, and I'm just going to work on this side now. So the first thing I like to do is use a piece of chalk, or this is chalk pastel, and sketch out some figures. So I look for anything that could look like a head, a hat, a skirt, a leg, a body, an arm, whatever it may be. And I see this shape here as a potential hat. And this has a shoulder, which would put my head in there. I see two things here. I see a hat, and I see this is a possible head and body. This kind of feels like a bag. Skirt. Maybe some kind of legs. That doesn't really look quite right, but not to worry. If you're doing this with chalk, it's easy to wipe it off with a wet cloth. See that as a skirt. And then this I kind of see as a figure in here. Take that off. So you're going to make compositional adjustments as you go on these. That's just normal. You might see something and then kind of change your mind as you start looking at the composition. So I'm going to have this one walking away in the scene. So make one of her legs kind of short. This one is definitely forward the way that big hat is on them. I may have to bring that brim down so it looks appropriate. I may have to make that hat a little smaller, maybe a little bit on the big side. And then I'm going to put a head on this. So maybe I'll put that in front of that hat. And then some legs here. Partial leg and a leg here. So something along that line. So the next thing I'm going to do is some negative painting in this. I could use black, but this figure is pretty dark. So I may opt for just some white at this point in the background. So this is just titanium white. And there's a piece of chalk right in there. Oh dear. So I'm doing some reductive painting around the edge here. So this first time of painting it in, I'm not overly particular about how great a job I do, because very likely I will change it or maybe paint it a different color or glaze over it is another possibility. Sometimes when you're painting in the negative, you start to see different things as well. So just go with the flow. Don't worry about following your exact idea that you had when you chalked it in. If something comes up, I'm kind of liking this blue here, not because it has a relationship. And I'm not sure I'm going to paint this bottom the same. In fact, I don't think I am going to paint it white, just the top for now. I often like to paint the bottom a darker color so it grounds it. So I'm looking at the hat. Well, I'll leave it for now. If it feels too big later, I can change it. So I have blue here and some blue in the skirt. I don't exactly want to make the background the same because I'll lose that. So I'll probably do the background in a darker kind of a neutral color. So let's see how that goes. So if I mix up some blue, and I have some of the opposite of it, so that's going to be either red and yellow, or I have an orange, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the orange. Okay, you know, I'm gonna try it just without white, I think. So it's gonna make a dark. So I'm just gonna put some orange into this. You'll see what happens, that it's changes the color. It's gonna make it quite dark. Okay. which is not, it's not like using black directly, but it is very, very dark. So that was anthracnone blue, and the orange, not even sure what orange it is. This is fluid paint. I like how it goes on nice and flat and thin. Let's see. Until you learn how to really paint this way, it can be a bit tricky seeing the negative shapes, but it certainly is easier to paint the negative than the positive. I find the positive, sometimes you just can't see it or get it right. Let's see, what should I do? Should I leave that? So a lot of processing goes on, a lot of talking to oneself goes on doing this kind of work. So I'm going to leave that for now. Might change it in a bit. So I'm going to try mixing a bit of this with my yellow. So this has some orange in it. It is going to give me a green. And it should be fairly transparent. So I'm just going to try that in a bit of the dress here and see how that goes. So if you're using transparent, the beauty of it is that you're going to be able to see what's underneath. So you're not going to lose your patterning. Make it a little bit different over on this side. Okay, I'm liking how this person is looking, walking away with this bag kind of slung on the shoulder. This needs a bit more contrast. I have some orange out here. I wonder what would happen if I tried orange. Yeah, I don't really know if I like adding another color here, but I started it now, so I will continue. So because I introduced this on this figure, I do need to put it somewhere else so it's not feeling totally on its own and isolated. So orange is a complement to blue. So it does provide some contrast, but I think I still would like to do something. This figure is confusing because the legs are behind and the body is in front, so that needs some adjusting. This shoulder needs to go behind. Yeah, so I'll change this arm. So it's still wet, I can wipe it off, but I'll come back in when it's a bit drier and do a little bit more shaping on that. Okay, I think I'm going to put some dark hair on this. Now, if I pull this hat down on the back of the head, this person could be walking away as well in the background, both of them, and leaving her more forward. So that's a possibility. So don't be afraid to change things as you go. So I don't want to lose the marks in that hat. That's the one thing I want to try and salvage. So try yellow. Oops, I'm picking up a little of that. So if it's the back of the head, we don't need a neck, but maybe I'll put some hair. So it looks like it's at the back. I usually do my people forward. I like this one with the hood without a neck. Usually we don't have a neck. So when it's going backwards, that's how you can see the motion, and also, you know, how you do your legs. If one is shorter, and then if you want to put feet on so they look like they're walking away, you could do that too. So this maybe needs a bit of a strap. Okay, that was really wet. I think I had way too much water in my brush, same with this, but kind of liking the more watercolor kind of loose effect I'm getting. I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to mix a little bit of coral. Ooh, that's too much orange. Pull her neck down into the dress a little. Make sure she does look like she is walking forward. And I'm going to darken a little bit of this up to put in a shadow side. I'm working wet into wet here. Not dark enough. Couldn't be a bit darker. And again, I think I'll lighten up her leg down here, give a bit of contrast to the dark. Okay, so I'm going to bring some of this ultramarine blue in. Now this is heavier body paint, but I'm pretty sure that's what I had in my sketchbook, so just a brighter blue on these legs. Now part of that leg is kind of hiding. Maybe I'll do these ones the same. Remember, nothing is written in stone. If you end up not liking something, it's easy enough to cover up, paint over, add collage. These are all things you can do. So just when you're in your sketchbook, don't be too precious, just try things. This is where you can explore ideas. Now I'm getting some nice balance here, but it's not going over far enough. So I think on this side, what I'd like to do is add some of that blue. So I'm going to use a stencil. So there is some dots in here. And I've just got this little sponge from something. Usually I use a makeup sponge, but I just couldn't come up with one quickly. So any kind of a sponge, and you just want to dab up and down when you're doing this. Yeah, so adding a little bit of blue on that side. So I can go back and refine the background a bit. I want to also fix that arm in there. So that may be tricky to get it opaque here without using some white to cover over. So try something and make her a bit of a arm coming down. A couple of moves can really change how things look. So I'm still not really convinced that I like that color in behind there. Put a couple of bright bits into this dress coat. And we're always looking for balance in amongst our work. So I think what I'll do is make some neutralized green for the background. So that's gonna have a little red in it. I don't have red out. I'm gonna try orange. See if I can neutralize it with an orange. Yeah, not too bad. So orange has red in it, so that's why that would work. And I'm just wondering about going in the background here. I think it needs to be a bit lighter though. And this isn't a color that I would normally choose, but it is good to try things different than you normally do, because you might discover that there's something else that you really like or that you don't like. That's important too. Knowing what you don't like. This is where you can come in. You can refine things, change the shapes of the hair or the neck, just carving into the back, from the background into your shapes. So if you really think of each one of these things as a shape instead of as a hair or a hat or a dress, you'll be further ahead, because it's a lot easier to get your head around just being a shape opposed to trying to paint a figure. Okay, so that kind of connects it in a little bit better, I think, for sure. Let's go back to her hair here. Give it a little bit of a swing. It's a more interesting shape. As much as I like the pattern in the hat and everything, I'm not sure that it's really working. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to pull blue up here. And remember, I can paint into that negative if I don't like it. I like some of the color under there. I'll use one of these catalyst wedges and see if I can pull a little bit back. That makes it a little bit more interesting. Now I have a bit of this on here. Maybe I'll just repeat that. So I'm just going to blow dry this for a bit and then do a few final marks. Okay, I think I'm actually going to change her hair color so that it stands out against that. And she could be a redhead. That's a possibility. But for now, I'm just going to come in here and make her hair bright green. That doesn't offer enough contrast, I don't think. Now I want to put a face in, but I'm not happy with the shading there. Sometimes some bit of green, blue-green even works in the face as a shadow. Try a bit of that. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, so no faces there. And then maybe I need to put a hand in. So I'm going to come back into this with some pastel, maybe Woody Stabilos, and I want to bring a little bit more orange around. A few finishing kind of details. I do like the addition of teal sometimes too, so just as a little bonus color. So this is a Woody Stabilo, which is kind of like a chalky crayon, and both the Woody Stabilo is water soluble. The pastel it will run off, so flake off. What I need to do is use a fixative on that to spray it before I put a final coat on, because it will just rub off. So I'm liking adding a little bit of teal in places. So not a complete outline, but just a little bit of loose sketching around some of the forms. Put a little something in the face. I have this, just a crayon, pencil crayon. Maybe draw a couple of lines to indicate an eye. There we go. Let's see, I might put a little bit of line to indicate a finger here. It's still wet, so actually all I'm doing is scratching back in, and that's okay. Okay, that's still really wet. I'm just lifting it up, but I think I'll leave this one here and let it dry. Fix this pastel on there and seal it. Yeah, so it doesn't smoosh around. Alrighty, thanks for watching.